Alright, so this kinetic machine has two parts or two sections. The first one is this worm drive crank and ratchet mechanism, and that turns this whole thing around. So when you turn this handle, it's a pencil for the shaft, and it's wound with leather strips, and those leather strips engage with these coat hangers that are pins, and that spins that piece around. And then this linkage here moves this ratchet back and forth. So this is the ratchet, and this piece is spring-loaded. So as it slides forward, it engages with this little piece here, and it pushes it. But then, when it gets to this rotation here, this piece engages so it can't go backwards. And that allows the spring-loaded piece to glide along that curved edge. So it's gliding along here, and then it pops back in. And then it re-engages, and then slides back, and the spring is right here. Down below is this framed part, and there are 10 different images that fall down from on top here. And there's basically a track that runs along the entire underneath here, and there's a gap right here that allows one at a time to drop down. And this piece here is a coat hanger at an angle, and as this rotates, it'll catch here, and then that'll fold it up, and then when it gets up top, it levels out, and underneath it runs all the way around, and then it ends right here. So right when it gets past this, it falls down. Another cool thing is on the bottom, when you pull on this, it's a piece of string, and it runs the length of this, and then there's a spring here that loops it around, and this is not part of this. This just holds a piece inside where it needs to be, which I'll show in a second. So this spring runs through, kind of like a bike cable, and then when you pull on it, this panel is magnetized, so it stays on, but then it pops off. And down below is the scissor lift that's curved, and that string I showed you earlier keeps this running along the track. If you didn't have it, it would come up too far, so it kind of keeps it in place. And then attached to that scissor lift, or that pusher, is this little, I guess, little reader that I made with Arduinos. So it's tied to it, so it stays in place when the box shifts around. So when you untie that, you can take this out. So I actually had to use two Arduinos because I was having a hard time getting my LCD to display with a delay. You can't use a delay when you want to run other things like a motor. And I spent a full day trying to figure it out, and I couldn't. So I just ended up using two Arduinos for the time being. So over here is a switch. So you flick that on, and then the screen flows through some things. You can adjust the brightness with this potentiometer on this side here. And then this little arrow here points to a photoresistor. And basically, when I hover over that, it flows through this. And my battery actually is a little bit low, so I need to replace that. Yeah, so it has two batteries and two Arduinos. And if you open this up, it all comes apart. So this is magnetized as well, so that just pops out. It folds over. So here's the LCD screen, and below it the Arduino. And then this also pops out. And the wires go below there to another Arduino. And this can also be replaced. This pulls out which allows you to pull this off. And then this whole thing slides out, and you can do a custom one of those. And then on the back side, this also comes off. And there's my 2 batteries for each Arduino. And this one I used a breadboard because I was having a hard time, and I didn't have a perf board, I think. So here's my other Uno, and here's the switch on this side. And I think this battery needs to be a little bit stronger. This one runs to the, and it's possible I've wired this up not quite correct. I mean, it works, but I don't know if it's draining or not. The batteries are both at the same voltage, and they're both pretty old, so I think it's okay. But in the future, I like to have, even if I have 2 batteries, I want to have one Arduino, and one battery can just power the DC motor, and the other can power the Arduino.